Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Business Bits. You're alongside Michael and John Convery. That's right, he's my dad, and we're going to talk to you today about how business owners could have more fun and less stress in retirement because they know their investment portfolio is actually working for them.
Right.
So we're going to talk about a few ways that you would know your portfolio is working for you, because I was just on the phone with someone, Dad, from radio, like always, and the first thing he said is, I just want to understand exactly what's going on and have some simplicity in my life. Wasn't quite a
Right.
business owner, but it relates back to what we're talking about today.
Right. Well, first off, I don't know anything about having fun. We both know that. But second of all, if you want to have less stress and more fun as you get out of business, you basically unshackle yourself from the business that you maybe once loved, but the romance has long since waned. And maybe you want to close the chapter and move off on the greener pastures. And I don't mean green in terms of making uber more money. I'm talking about enjoying your life and being able to slow down to savor life. Have you ever noticed that if you're rushing so fast through life, you can't really savor it? Everything loses its taste because you're so busy just doing it. You know what I'm talking about, right? So at some point, I think for most people, they don't want these enormous businesses. They don't want the liabilities. They just want to be able to have a balanced life. And so along those lines, we're going to talk to you a little bit when Michael's ready or whatever else he wants to share. But I think he's going to tell us to talk about a little bit about what we call results in advanced planning, which is a portion of our complete retirement compass review process for business owners. And really, it's a process that as Michael begins to describe or give you a framework on that, I think you're going to be a little more curious.
Yep, in order to have more fun and less stress in retirement, you one have to know your portfolio is working for you.
True.
And the first question is, how does someone know their portfolio is working with them? Because half the time, they may not have an online access account, so they have their portfolios aggregated over a bunch of different directions.
Sure.
They come on into the office, we do an analysis, they think they're diversified, but one advisor has them in the same
Right.
exact stocks and funds that the other advisor does. So what's the first step to really see if your portfolio is even working for you?
Well, it's a great question, Mike, and I think it starts with understanding, first off, the relationship you have with your custodian or broker. For instance, many of you know the name Merrill Lynch. They used to be a legendary firm on Wall Street, and even to get an odd lot trade, you'd have to pay them like $150 on Wall Street just to execute your trade. It was one of many in their inventory. Now, with the democratization of investment, which is what I call it, people can trade online for no commissions or at $4.95 a trade. There's a lot greater transparency, and you can get earnings updates just as quickly as a Wall Street analyst can. So because of that, it's really disrupted the industry. Now, if you're with Merrill Lynch, you could have $1.5 million, and it's in a Merrill Lynch Edge account. Wow, I got the edge. No, you got nothing. Because basically, a Merrill Lynch Edge account means you don't even get an advisor. You know what you get? You get a call center up in Charlotte, North Carolina, because Bank of America overpaid at the height of the financial markets before the great crash of 2008. Bank of America made a foolish decision to buy Merrill Lynch at a premium price. I guess John Thain, the outgoing president for Merrill Lynch, had to justify his $100,000 Oriental carpets and the $300,000 or $500,000 he put into refurbishments in his office. Mr. Thain aside, God bless him, and on with the show. The bottom line is Merrill Lynch has a lot of legacy costs, and that therefore their cost per $1,000 of assets, your investments under management, might be 56 to 60 cents a dollar. Somebody like a Betterment or somebody like a Schwab or even Fidelity, it might be 15 basis points or 15 cents versus 55 to 65 cents. So here's what that means. That's a huge difference in economy of scale for some of these brands, which were a fiduciary and we use them as custodians, such as a Fidelity, such as a Schwab. So number one, understand what the cost structure is with your broker. Number two, are you working with a broker that doesn't have to really align their interests with yours, or a fiduciary, which is what I am? And then number three, really get a stress test of your portfolio. We do that as part of our complete planning review. We analyze your risk, how much risk you're taking for the reward that you've gotten historically. Do you know what that risk-reward ratio is? Newsflash, most people have no idea. You get your statement that just shows you your trailing returns, but where does it tell you how much risk you're taking to get that return? I challenge you, but for the most part, good God bless you if you can find it, but you can't even see it on your brokerage statement because it's not transparent to you. When we look at a portfolio, Michael, using the advanced tools that we do and third-party verification, we're able to see how much risk you've been taking, what kind of returns you've gotten in the past, and how sustainable your cash flow would be if you retired today and wanted to draw $50,000 a year from your $800,000 portfolio. How long is that money going to last? Do you know? Don't you think you should know? And we'll help you distinguish that through modeling. And then we'll create a results in advance plan for you as the business owner. Basically, when you monetize all that equity in your business, the sweat equity of your brow, and you diversify it into a portfolio that's going to support that retirement destiny that you're hopeful for. So those are the kind of things that we do, Mike. And great tools and really great epiphany for most business owners because they've never really been taken through that process before, which is something exciting and unique.
Yep, and I want to go back to one thing you said there, which is transparency. And many people don't really understand what they're paying for or why they're paying for it.
Sure.
I was just speaking with a gentleman, and I explained the difference on if you'd like to come into our offices, like a Merrill, when you have all these offices and you're constantly employing people inside of them, we're going to have to charge you a lot more to maintain our economics. But if we do things digitally, it's going to be in his best interest and ours to go about that route. So that's another thing. Working with someone that maybe offers digital advising as well as traditional advising can be in your better interest. But what are some things that business owners can do, the first step outside of our results in advance planning through the Retirement Compass, that can help them see if their portfolio is working for them? And if it's not, it's time to probably get a second opinion.
Well, that's what we're talking about with the results in advanced planning, folks. Again, to be clear about that, nobody can predict the market with accuracy going forward. No one. Warren Buffett says that, my friend, is a fool's game. What we're saying is if you look at your historic performance and the measure of alpha, how much performance you've gotten, and you compare it next to the benchmark, such as the S&P 500, you can see if you're beating the averages or trailing them, and if you're taking more or less risk to do that. That's very revelatory because with that information, it's kind of like blood pressure readings that a doctor would get. If it's 120 over 80, you know that's a good reading. It doesn't tell your primary care physician very much. They'll just move on to the next thing. But if something's way off, like one measurement is 180, but your other pressure measurement is 80, then there's a problem that they're going to look to get to the root of that. It's the same thing with the stress test. We look at how well will your performance do battle tested under different scenarios. Most people only look back over the segment of returns over the last 5 years. But that totally misses the business cycle going back to 2000, 2001, and 2, which were lost years, and the great financial crisis of 2008. How well did your portfolio do during that time? So these are the things we really want to look at. And then we can isolate which of your holdings on a scatter plot have put you in a position where it's dragged down your total return. Do you know sometimes it's 10 to 20% of your holdings can wipe out 80% of your return? So we want to look at those outliers and figure out how to distinguish them and then exit them or get rid of them. And then you want to look at tax efficiency, Mike. We've talked a lot about this.
The power of zero.
Power of zero, or just the idea. Think about, many people say, well, John, it doesn't make any difference if I put money away pre-tax because I'm going to have to pay the tax on the back end. What makes you think so? Now, let me give you this thought. Perhaps, just perhaps, there might be ways using tax credits, tax deductions, easements appurtenant, other things to reduce or offset taxes when you take your distributions from your IRAs at age 70 and a half or before. And if you do that strategically and you manage your picture frame on your tax situation, losses and gains, you may be able to increase your cash flow and reduce your taxes at the same time. Wow, that's a double win, because I would submit to you that taxes are a pernicious continuing expense that can take a huge toll on the amount of retirement income you have, my friend, and the quality of your retirement life. Does it make a sense for you to do a pivot into a Roth, a conversion in a very, very tax efficient way. When taxes are on sale, as they are now, because we have the Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, maybe it makes sense to take advantage of a sales price. Now, for those of you that are ladies or gentlemen and you enjoy shopping, whether we shop at Stein Mart or anywhere else, when you go in, most of you love to get a sales price. Why? Because nobody wants to pay more for merchandise that's going to be worth less than you walk out the door, unless you're just all about the brand and the swag. Well, if you're all about the swag, good for you, but most people want to get the best for or the best price. When you're buying something, that means if you can get it at a 50% sale or a discount, you want to take advantage of that because your money goes twice as far. Well, my friends, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, that's the exact situation we're in right now with the Trump tax cuts. You can pay your taxes on sale, and if you know how to do it safely and elegantly, wow, it can make a profound transformative difference on how much tax-free income you will have over 5, 10, 15, 20 years. The tax savings can be breathtaking, Michael. So it's really not one thing, is what you're probably getting out of this. It's multiple things, each thing woven together with the next to give you incremental improvement. But if you improve 10%, 10%, 10% on 3 different levers, that's the total of a 33 1/3 or 40% total return, which is considered awesome as a return on your investment. And as you may think, this doesn't sound like the rhetoric of your typical investment advisor. That's because we're not. I'm a business owner.
Absolutely.
I think like a business owner, right? And therefore, you can enter my world, I can enter your world to really help educate one another. A mutual iron sharpens iron kind of thing to fashion a plan that's going to be magnificent for your future. But it is never, ever just one thing. You know, as what was his name? Not George Palance, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy from the City Slickers, what was his name?
I'm not sure, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, his name is going to come to me later, but the cowboy there, I want to say it was Jack Palance, had that growl voice and the grizzly face, and he just said, just remember, it's just one thing. And they were like, what's the one thing? Well, it's not just one thing, it's multiple things. One thing over here, one thing over there, one thing here. And that's where we come in, because most people are stressed out to the nines or are in so many different disparate directions that what we simply do is pull all these one things together and put them into the thing that can move the fulcrum, that can really be a leverage for you to have a great business owner retirement. And that's what we love to do. It's challenging and exciting.
Yep, always challenging. But I did gather 2 things there for everybody. So going off of one thing, we're going to do 2 things for you. If you're a business owner, really the first step, if you are selling your business, is to make sure to know your portfolio is working for you. And how can you do that? The first thing is you're giving up your income as you sell your business. So your portfolio really has to have an income plan baked into it.
That's right.
And if you're a business owner and you've paid taxes your whole life, you are not fond of it. At least overpaying taxes you're not fond of. Everybody will pay their fair share if our government can get the trillions of dollars down, but it doesn't seem they're doing anything with that.
Right.
So you also want to make sure that income plan comes as a tax efficient income plan, because you worked all these years. You do not want to pay more in taxes than you have to. And as a business owner, it's really pertinent to strategize how to get that tax number to 0 if possible, but at least as low as it can go.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, folks. Michael hit the nail on the head. Taxes are pernicious. And you know, right now we're in a period of low taxes. There are at least 23, 24 Democratic hopefuls for the presidential campaign on the Democratic side. Partisan politics are alive and well. Whether it's Bernard Sanders, Kamala Harris, Beto O'Rourke, Joe Biden, they all are talking about raising taxes only on the rich. Ha! We know that's not true. The rich always have plenty of ways to wiggle out of paying taxes. Carry forward losses, assets offshore in the Guernsey or Cook Islands, business interests, etc. Most middle-class American affluent business owners have pension assets, equity from their business, but you don't, once you retire and sell your business, you're not going to have a lot of tax deductions. So we need to create some offsets, ways to create tax-free income. And these are things that will help you learn through an educational process that we call our complete Retirement Compass Review.
Yes, and that is designed for business owners and retirees alike. If you're listening on in right now, if you're in the United States, you can always reach on out. We do a lot of these things digitally nowadays.
right.
So wherever you're listening, if you'd like to go through our Retirement Compass planning process and see if your portfolio is actually working for you, now is the time to head on over to businessbits.tips. There's going to be a little form up there. Hopefully by the time this show is up,
Should
there'll be a
be.
little form. If you like a second opinion, just click that and fill out your information, and I myself will reach on out to you, and we will bring you through our process digitally, which guess what? Digitally means you might actually pay less for your investment advice than you would going into someone's office. So we're doing it because it's the best thing for you.
No doubt about it, Mike. And I guess we're wrapping up today, right? But
Yes.
at the end of the day, folks, I always like to finish with the paraphrase of my old Irish prayer. May the wind be gently at your back, my friend. May the sun shine warmly on your face. May the misty low road rise up to meet the high road. And until our paths meet again, my friend, may God anoint you with good health, richly bless you, and have a magnificent day. Goodbye now.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the videos. If you got some more free time, I know you do, make sure you check this video out right here. And if you don't like that one, make sure you check this one out too, or just watch them both. See you guys soon.